The Proteas are 2 down with 3 to play and run out against England at Centurion on Tuesday. I'm joined in studio this afternoon by Rob Howing and Lloyd Bernard from Sport24 to give us their analysis on the ODI series thus far. Gents, thank you very much for coming this afternoon. Your colourful shirts, hopefully
did our best. Got to lift the mood.
The Proteas will have put on a bit more of an inspiring performance. Rob, I'll start with you. What is, in your opinion, has been the problem thus far? The Proteas, you were mentioning, just merely been outplayed.
They have. Cricket goes in cycles these days, especially given the sort of the intensity of the international rosters. You always find that the teams kind of sort of ebb and flow. I'm afraid South Africa are in that sort of mode where they're in a definite dip. You just get the sense that they are emotionally, perhaps physically tired. Perhaps a little bit of catch up from the rigours of a long, rather depressing Indian tour.
Maybe that's not the same as a rebuilding phase.
It was an easy decision. It's a big honor
well,
to
there is a little bit of that too. There is a little bit of that as well. But I just think that there's a certain flatness that needs to sort of come out. This was always going to be a very difficult series because it not only did it come after that full Indian tour and then a rather deflating loss in the Test series to England, which caught a few people a little bit unawares. You've also got this distraction of the World 2020 tournament coming up, which is kind of, as soon as the Test series against England finished, to be fair, that is the main business, from here. So maybe a little bit of sort of complacency, guys sort of preserving themselves a little bit, knowing that they've got to go back to India, where it's a tough place to visit. We've already just been there for a major tour. The guys have got to get themselves up, especially the bowlers on those flat decks all over again. So I'm not making excuses because these are very worrying times. Make no mistake. I think there are some strong sort of concerns across various departments. We've got issues in batting, in bowling, in the balance of the side, all kinds of issues. And England just seem to have South Africa's number at the moment. It wouldn't surprise me too much if they go on to get a really emphatic series win. But let's hope from a South African point of view that South Africa do pull one back tomorrow. Otherwise, we're talking 2 dead rubbers, for the tail end games of the series, which would be a tragedy, really, because we were all looking forward to this series and expecting it to be really close. I feel a bit awkward about it, but I wouldn't discount the possibility of South Africa bouncing back. There are still enough good individuals to be able to do that.
Rob, you mentioned you wrote an article about the 5th bowler, Lloyd. What is your opinion then specifically on the Proteas bowling attack? Who would you like to see as the sort of frontline bowlers, and where do you think these last 2 games have been won and lost?
Yeah, I mean the 5th bowler is obviously the big issue for South Africa at the moment. Having to share the last 10 between JP and Farhan Bernard has been the problem really in the first 2 ODIs, and perhaps the difference between the sides in both of those matches. I'm not too sure what the answer is right now, to be honest. I mean, kind of whatever you do, one option is bringing in Chris Morris for Bernard tomorrow. And then if you do that, you're kind of maybe shortening your batting a little bit. But having said that, Bernard was hardly inspiring with the bat in the second ODI. We just missed that genuine all-rounder that England have in a guy like Ben Stokes. They've got a guy like Moeen Ali as well, who's very competent with the ball and with the bat. Whereas our all-rounders, if you look at someone like JP, you're not getting much out of him with the ball right now. And Bernard as well is kind of certainly not a bowling all-rounder. And you look in history, and it's easy to say, but I mean, you're missing guys like Jacques Callison or a Lance Klusener or a Sean Pollock, or someone who can do both disciplines for you really well. So I'm not too sure what the options are. You've got a guy like David Visa as well, who can come in tomorrow. But Farhan Bernard is a guy who's been steadily improving his average over the last year or so. He's now got it above 30, and his strike rate's really healthy. And he's the guy who the selectors have really backed to kind of come in at 7 and be that finisher. But I don't know what they're going to do tomorrow. Just the balance of the sides is very different at the moment. In England, look a far more balanced ODI unit than we do, and they're the better side so far, yeah.
Rob, what changes can you foresee in this 3rd ODI in terms of the Proteas lineup?
As Lloyd said, there aren't that many options. The squad was a reasonably sort of thin one anyway. They haven't made any sort of panic additions, if you like, certainly not as we speak anyway. But Dale Steyn was sort of withdrawn before the start of the series. Initially, of course, there'd been some hope that he would make his bounce back for the one-dayers, and then of course he was ruled out for the entire series, which puts him into question now for all the T20 phase of the season coming up as well. So it's not as though the sort of ready replacements jump out at you. As Lloyd mentioned, I guess we're potentially looking at Behardine being the sort of the sacrificial player, if you like, from what happened in Port Elizabeth, and probably one of Morris or Visa coming in. Problematic though, because there's always that worry. As soon as South Africa goes sort of 3 or 4 wickets down, reasonably early in their one-day innings, you do fear for the lack of oomph further down the order.